Alright, Dinosaurs on a Spaceship. So if you've watched my Asylum of the Daleks review, you will know that I wasn't really looking forward to this episode. I mean, it just looked pretty lame, to be honest. It looked like it looked like it would like either be bad or just extremely mediocre. And now I've watched the episode, I would say it is pretty mediocre. Overall, I would say mediocre. I mean, it had its moments, and I'll get to them in a minute. Before I actually say anything, I would just like to say the opening title sequence is like the same as it was in Asylum of the Daleks. Like the way that the names of the actors appears, like it's all the same. It's like that really like generic font, which I don't like. But the actual like words Doctor Who actually change. I mean, they kind of theme them to the episode. Like in this case, they're kind of like I'm not sure how to describe it, but the words Doctor Who kind of appeared in like this stone kind of texture, which I guess kind of relates to the Stone Age with when dinosaurs were about or something. I'm not quite sure. It kind of felt dinosaur-y, if you know what I mean. Anyway, let's talk about the actual episode. So, wasn't looking forward to it. I mean, I thought it'd be a chore to sit through, but it ended up being moderately entertaining, let's say. For starters, the special effects on the dinosaurs was okay. I mean, it was entirely CGI aside from this one shot where the dinosaur didn't even move in the shot. I guess that could have been practical, this one shot. But for the most part, everything's CGI, all of the dinosaurs. It looks okay, it's bearable enough. But, by Doctor Who standards, it's decent enough, I guess. But it's nothing like Oscar-worthy, of course. I mean, what would you expect from Doctor Who? The special effects were like, meh, they were okay. Like, the dinosaurs didn't look awful. But they were okay. Like, I would compare... Like, I'm pretty sure a lot of people do this, and I would do this if I could. What I would do is compare the special effects to Jurassic Park, but unfortunately I haven't seen Jurassic Park, so... Yeah, I actually haven't seen a single Jurassic Park film, so I can't make any comparisons there. One thing which shocked me in this episode was a surprise appearance from an alien species. Like, there's like some aliens from like previous episodes return in this one very briefly, but I thought that was a nice surprise. I mean, like, they didn't spoil it in the trailer. They might have spoiled in some clips. So, like, I didn't bother watching any clips released of the episode, but it was kind of like a nice surprise to me. Like, I was kind of shocked to see them. Like, it was only a brief appearance, but I was kind of like, oh, that's cool. It was cool to just see them pop up very briefly. Like, it kind of caught me off guard. Rory's dad is featured in this episode. He comes along with them. Like, the Doctor, like, accidentally, like, lands the TARDIS like on all three of them at once. I gotta say, his reaction to like suddenly being in the TARDIS was actually pretty good. I kind of like that. That was kind of funny. Ultimately, I would say Rory's dad isn't like, he kind of felt pretty similar to Wilfred to me, but ultimately I would say he's not as charming as Wilfred. I don't know, he kind of just felt kind of pointless, to be honest. He didn't really need to be in the episode. Like, I felt as if they just threw him in the episode just to like try and make this episode, like, this episode is pretty irrelevant in the long run. I mean, you're not going to remember that, like, once you've watched the whole of Series 7, this episode is going to be the one you least remember out of all of them. Like I said, it is pretty mediocre overall. So I felt as if they just threw Rory's dad into the episode to try and make it, like, memorable, I guess, because you're not going to remember this as soon as this ends. So I guess them throwing in Rory's dad is the writer's attempt, or their attempt to try and make the episode slightly interesting, I guess. But ultimately, he doesn't really do much in the episode. He's pretty pointless. He's not as charming as Wilfred, like I said, but he's not like flat out annoying. Like, they have some really dumb jokes with him, and he has a few pretty cringy lines, let's say. Like, it's not the actor which does a bad job. It's just some of the lines he has. I thought some of the lines were kind of They were a bit cringy. I wasn't a fan of some of his lines. I mean, it was just like some dumb jokes, but overall the character was kind of pointless. The villain in this episode, this was something which surprised me. The villain of the episode was actually he was pretty good. Like, as a villain, he was good. The actor who plays him, I'm pretty sure he's a famous actor. I don't know the actor's name. I can't even name a film he's been in. I'm pretty confident that he was in one of the Lord of the Rings films, if not all of them. I'm guessing that was the film series he was from. Like I only watched the Lord of the Rings films once in the cinema, like years and years and years ago, so I can't remember much about him. But I'm pretty sure he was in the films. But he plays the villain, well, you know, the guy from the Lord of the Rings. He plays the villain, and he's actually a good villain. He was pretty good. Like, as an actor, he's great. And it's just, some of the stuff he says is just kind of dark. I mean, while avoiding spoilers, I will say at one point in the episode he has a knife against the character's throat, this massive blade against the character's throat, and he's like, you know, he's delivering this like speech, and just the stuff that he says to the character when he has the blade up against the character's throat, it was kind of like, some of the stuff he said, I was thinking it's kind of dark for a family show, but like I said with the Asylum of the Daleks, like they had one or two dark things in that episode, like the bodies they found were pretty like detailed for a family show. But I was just thinking some of the stuff he said was kind of dark, but I love that, you know, it's great. Like he is a great villain though. He's a great actor. I don't really have much to say. It's just like he's such an asshole. He's so evil, but in a good way. He does you know, he's just a great villain. He was actually great fun. Like, that actually surprised me. I wasn't expecting a villain to be like this, like entertaining or interesting in this episode. He was great. The dinosaurs, now they were lame. Like, don't get me wrong, they were important to the story, but like in the long run, when you look back on the episode, the dinosaurs, they are like an extremely minor part of the episode, which is a good thing. Like I was never interested in the dinosaurs. Like when I saw the trailer, I was like, don't care, I'm not interested. Like the dinosaurs to me just weren't interesting. So you kind of have the dinosaurs are important to the story. However, we still see quite a bit of them. Like, they take up about a quarter, if not almost a half. Like, I would say a third. They take up a third of the episode. And I wasn't interested in them. Like, sure, you have to establish there's dinosaurs on the spaceship. Leave it at that. But they have, like, quite a few moments where the characters encounter the dinosaurs and they're running away. There is this one sequence where, like, the doctor is, like, riding on the back of one of the dinosaurs. I thought that was kind of dumb. I mean, it's silly. I guess it's like a little something for the kids, I guess. I kind of feel like a grumpy old man complaining about that, but I was kind of sitting there like, not liking that sequence at all, when the doctor's like riding the back of a dinosaur. I mean, I guess it's just a little something for the kids to kind of look at something colourful, I guess. Apologies to anyone out there who's like over the age of 18 or who is over the age of 12 who like that sequence. I don't know, like I guess I see the appeal to it. I guess it's just like, you know, it's a bit of cheesy fun, but it wasn't for me. I just felt like a grumpy old man doing that because I really didn't like that sequence at all. But overall, the dinosaurs, basically when the villain is introduced, the episode does get interesting. When the villain is introduced, the episode gets interesting. That's when you start like piecing together why the dinosaurs are on the spaceship and everything, and that's when you start learning the villain's plan, and when you realise how evil and badass the villain is. That's kind of when I started liking the episode, or started to get into the episode. But even once the villain has been introduced, we still have some moments with the dinosaurs. Like I said, I do not, anything with the dinosaurs in this episode I didn't like. I wasn't interested. All they needed to do was establish the fact that dinosaurs are on the spaceship, which is what they do at the very start of the episode. And then they should have just left it at that. There's no need to have them. Like, have a dinosaur have a cameo in the episode every now and again from that point onwards. But there was no need to spend as much time with the dinosaurs as we did, because they were not important to the story. I guess it's just a little something to keep the kids interested. I mean, you gotta have some action in it for the kids. Like, you gotta have some action, some colourful things, I guess, or some dinosaur action to keep the kids, like, attention, to keep the kids invested in the episode. Like, I guess most kids wouldn't be as interested in the villain side of the story. Like, when we are with the villain, there's not much action going on. It's pretty much dialogue based, but that's fine, you know. It's interesting. Like, I like the villain, like I said, and I was interested in the villain's motives, and ultimately I thought he was a really cool villain. So, I guess, dialogue-based stuff with the villain, although it might be interesting to some people, there's probably some kids out there who, you know, they just want to see some dinosaur action, so I guess that's why we keep cutting back and forth towards the dinosaurs. Don't get me wrong, I'm sure there's one or two kids out there, or like a bunch of kids, a handful of kids out there that would be interested in the villain's, like, dialogue and what he has to say and stuff, but I'm just saying, like, I understand why they kept cutting back and forth to the dinosaurs, because, you know, they needed some action in there to hold the kids' attention, I guess. But Obviously, like I wasn't, like I said, I did not like anything to do with the dinosaurs. So although I understand why they put the dinosaur action in there, because they had to keep some of the kids' attention, kids with not as much of a strong attention span, let's say. Like they had to keep their attention some way or another. But of course, for me, like I said, I didn't care about the dinosaurs. So I just wasn't interested. Like every time the dinosaurs were on screen, my brain just switched off for the most part. But like I said, the story is still interesting and entertaining. Like when we are with the villain, and anything with the dinosaurs is kind of just like silly, cheesy fun, which I wasn't interested in. Like I said. Okay, coming to the end here. Not much to say about the episode. Actually, I wish I didn't say that now. I wish I hadn't said that. When I say stuff like that, didn't have much to say about this. I know I've normally been rambling on for like 20 minutes and I haven't realised. Okay, but I am coming to the end of the review, let's say at least. The Doctor does something at the end of this episode which is dark. Let's just say that. He does something at the end of the episode which is pretty dark. And I'm not sure if it's true to his character. Like I can't say much here without going into spoilers. I will clarify what I mean in the spoiler section of the review. But basically what the Doctor does at the end of this episode, like I heard about this before. Like this website released like 10 teasers on the episode, and they said that the Doctor does something at the end of the episode which is kind of un-Doctor-like, let's say. And I do agree with them. I'll get into details in the spoiler section of the review, but I was kind of shocked at what he did at the end of the episode. The next episode looks interesting. It's I believe it's called, the title of the episode is A Town Called Mercy, and that dude kind of looks like a Cenobite. The villain of the next episode kind of looks like that photo Cenobite from Hellraiser 3, the guy with the camera like embedded into his skull. That's what it kind of reminds me of. But it looks fun. It looks interesting. I'm looking forward to the next episode a hell of a lot more than I was to this episode. Let's just say that. Like, don't get me wrong. The Angel episode is what I'm looking forward to the most, like everyone is. But the next episode does look interesting. Like, I'm actually like interested enough to the point where I'm looking forward to it. Let's say that. That's all I have to say about Dinosaurs on a spaceship. So overall, you're not going to really remember the episode when it's finished. Like, it is what I expected. Well, it's slightly better than what I expected it to be. It's moderately entertaining. Anything with the dinosaurs is like kind of lame. I wasn't a fan of that. The villain was actually pretty evil. I mean, this is a badass villain. Like, he's really evil. And some of the stuff he says, especially when he has a certain character up against the throat with a knife, was kind of a bit dark for a family show, let's say. I was kind of like, wow, I can't believe this dude is actually saying this in Doctor Who. And so the villain's great. Story is interesting as soon as we get to the villain. I just wish we didn't spend as much time as we did with the dinosaurs. Rory's dad didn't really contribute anything to the episode. Like I said, I think they just threw him into the episode because they knew that this episode wasn't memorable at all and you're not going to remember it, so they decided to throw Rory's dad into the episode as a little like landmark. So like when you look back on the series, you'll be like, Rory's dad appeared in this episode, and you won't really remember much anything else about the episode. And like I said before, the Doctor does something at the end of the episode which is kind of un-Doctor-like. I'll get into that in a minute. The acting's fine as always. Rory's dad, whoever played him, is not a bad actor. However, some of the lines he has to say, they're just pretty cringy. I wasn't a fan of them. And the special effects were pretty... The special effects are what you expect them to be. Like, when you watch Doctor Who, the special effects, you expect them to be, like, bad or mediocre. And in this episode, the effects on the dinosaurs, it's entirely CGI, aside from possibly one shot. But it's mediocre CGI. It's okay. It's not horrible. But that's all I have to say about the episode. So if I had to sum up the episode with one phrase, I would say it's slightly better than what I expected. I'll just say that. So spoilers are coming up now, so leave if you don't want spoilers. So the thing which the Doctor does at the end of the episode, which was kind of not so Doctor-like, it kind of felt kind of out of character. What he essentially does is flat out murders the villain. It doesn't matter how it doesn't matter how you spin this. The Doctor just killed someone. He murdered someone. I am aware he kills people in the classic series. I have seen that clip on YouTube, which was pretty funny, where he just breaks. He literally like, if you haven't heard about this, in the classic series, there was this one part in an episode. I don't know what episode it was. I just saw the clip on YouTube. But he literally breaks someone's neck with his hands. He's just walking along. He casually breaks the dude's neck and walks on. Like literally. And I couldn't believe what I had just seen. So I guess in the classic series he was a lot darker. Or he was more... You know, I guess his character was slightly written different, I feel. Like in the revived series, I feel as if they're kind of trying to make him off as a guy who doesn't kill people. Like he doesn't kill people from what I've seen, or at least that's the vibe I'm getting from the Doctor's character in this series. And he just flat out murdered someone. The thing is, I'm not pissed off or anything. Like, I'm a fan of the show, but I'm not pissed off. Like, I liked what he did. Like, him killing the guy was badass as hell. Like, you know, him like just delivering the speech to the villain and saying, you know, this is going to attract the missiles, game over, bitch. And then like hitting the switch and like teleporting out. I thought that was great. Like I liked it, but I'm pretty sure there's going to be some people out there who like, you know, die-hard fans of the series. I'm pretty sure there's going to be some die-hard fans of the series who are going to be really pissed off and feel betrayed by what the Doctor does at the end. Like, it doesn't matter how you spin this, he just killed someone. Like, it doesn't matter, like, the fact that this guy's a villain, like, he's really evil, he's an asshole, like, that's irrelevant because there's so many times in the revived series where he attempts to save, like, a species or someone who, like, wronged him, but even then he still tries to save the guy. Like the dude who shot his daughter in series 4, like he could have blown the guy's head off, but he decided not to. But I just felt as if he was out of character in the end. But I don't care, like I just went along with it. I was just like, that was really badass. I really liked it. That's all I have to say about the episode though, so that's the spoiler section of the review done. So yeah, that's Dinosaurs on a Spaceship. So A Town Called Mercy is next. So thanks for watching the review. Hope you enjoyed it, and see ya.